He's going to make it the main part of the relationship, and he's going to continue to make you feel as though he doesn't want to really get too involved in this situation unless you're giving up the box, right? As these men would say, because they have so much class. And, you know, he's just one of those guys that seems very unintentional and more so charming and suaverico, right? But not so much, again, intentional or depth or, anything. He's just keeping everything kind of at the surface, very shallow in his approach. And when a deeper conversation does happen, it always is forced into a more shallow perspective or view or thought process because whatever the case might be. He can also be very dismissive about creating clarity within the relationship and making it seem as though you're asking for more than you deserve and outright telling you what you deserve and what you don't deserve because based on whatever metric he has created in his mind about you. So, it's finding that person that is going to treat you is going to give you the princess treatment. Like, let's just be real. You want to find somebody that's not going to try to make you suffer. Okay, if his goal is to make you suffer and to make your life harder and to put more weight on your shoulders, then he's probably not the right person for you. While yes, he should be able to respect your boundaries when it comes to wanting to make a prosperous life for yourself that doesn't involve him, he should also be someone that comes into your life and makes it easier. As we have collectively come to, think and say about men is that men ain't shit. A man ain't shit. What is he bringing into your life? How is he bringing value into your life? Okay. You as a woman are inherently so valuable. You bring in positive energy. And the problem with men is that they like to use the fact that energy is not something that you can package. Energy is not something that you can put into a box and sell it because it is something that comes specially packed within each individual woman, our essence, our energy, the things that benefit a man when they are associated with us. Okay. And so when men disrespect that energy, it degrades, it gets screwed up, it gets messed up, and it turns into something bad. It causes a dysregulation within the woman. And, it just makes her life bad. And, it's not it's not a joke when we show the statistics about married women against single women. Married women live shorter lives. Okay? Men do not care about your longevity for the most part unless you find a partner that genuinely gives a fuck about you. Okay? And so again, my point is it's not about, oh, this man is bad or this man is good, okay? He can be whatever he wants with whoever he wants whenever he wants, okay? They're very aware of what they're doing, what they're saying, what they are creating, the dynamic that they're creating. They're very aware. They're smart, okay? They use the patriarchy in their favor all the time. So it is your job as a woman to be able to discern. And the whole point about you having a woman's intuition is that you have to use your woman's intuition. Your women's intuition is real, okay? You have to use it and you have to feel this dude out, okay? Because anybody can tell you that they love you. I love you. But what does that actually mean? When he says, I love you, do you actually feel the love? Is it a real I love you? The energy doesn't lie, right? And sorry, I don't even know but going back to the whole, energy, woman's energy, you can't package it, right? You can't package it. And so that's why a lot of guys get away with using you for more than they deserve. And you can't package air. I mean, you can, but not really, right? The thing about air is you can't see air, just like you can't see energy. But without air, there would be nothing. Okay, without oxygen, there would be nothing. Without women, there would be nothing. Okay? And you, as a woman, are taught to forget that almost. You're trained to forget that you are the essence of life and that you, as a woman, need to understand the value and the energy that you bring into a relationship. Okay, because there is a specialty about being a woman is that you bring in the spiritual positive energy of the relationship. You create the spiritual atmosphere in the relationship. Okay. And this is why it's also very important that if you are spiritual, don't yoke up with somebody that is not spiritual, because that will disassociate your connectivity to the spiritual, because you're attached to someone who doesn't believe, or maybe does believe but is attached to a more demonic situation, right? And yes, I will get spiritual because I believe in spirituality. I believe in God. I believe in Christ. I believe in a lot of things. I believe that none of us are fully aware of the full scope of what it all means, and that there is something to everything when it comes to religion, but not everything within any religion is viable. So you have to discern and be moral about things. Okay. I have chickens and there's a hierarchy with my chickens. And the pecking order changes occasionally depending on, who does what, whatever. We come to simple terms of how animals and people structure themselves. And the hierarchy within the animal kingdom comes as this: the biggest and the strongest prevail, right? Well, that isn't always the case, actually. Sometimes you get a chicken who's real small, but of a different variety or of a special breed, and yet real tough, and somehow biologically he works out to keep somewhat of a survival in the pack, even though being the weakest and the smallest link, even smaller than most of the females, he will still prevail past certain social blockages. which is also very interesting. I have this chicken, Keanu, here, and despite the fact that he's literally the smallest chicken I have, he's still one of the main chickens. Like, he's managed to keep himself as one of the main chickens in the whole hierarchy of all my chickens, you know? And it's very interesting because it's like, huh. So maybe it's not just about the physicality and things like that, right? Maybe it's about your mind. Maybe it's about the intention or the ideology that you bring to the table, right? And so when it comes to looking for a proper mate as a woman, whether it be good or bad, you have to look for something like someone who has a good ideology and not necessarily think about the physical attributes all of the time, right? So, you know, it's hard to find an attractive male that isn't superficial. And it's hard to find an uglier male who isn't somewhat evil, right? Just because of the way that the social thing stands, right? And to find an average man who's somewhat sane is a little bit rare with the landscape of technology and videos and sexual content out there, AI becoming more and more useful in creating uh, AI porn models and things like that. So, it's just a lot for the male brain to compute when he can just look at fake or surgery influenced people all the time and then look at a regular modern normal person and see them as not that great because they're so used to somebody that has gone past certain social norms and morals and did something that is a little bit questionable, right? And I'm not knocking it completely because, I understand the whole pipeline that it is to get into those kinds of situations. And it's really sad, it's unfortunate, and I'm not blaming these people for making certain choices, we all gotta eat, right? But, I guess it's just collectively asking ourselves, what is it that we even want? What do we even want? What do we want our future to look like? Half of us don't even want kids anymore, you know? And it's like, I can sit here and talk about, oh, what's a good man or a, a bad man. But it's just such a loaded topic. It's such a loaded thing because it's like what's good for me might be bad for you, and what's good for you might be bad for me. And while I don't give men complete, like, a pass, I just feel like when you know, right? And it's like you can be completely uncommitted to people throughout your whole life, right? And then one day you just come across somebody and they're the one. And it's like everything changes. Everything changes when you find the person that's right for you, right? Everything changes. And so, I am one of those people, like, especially if you're with, okay, so I know this drunken topic has gone awry, so I'm going to try to put some structure into it. I need water. when you find the guy that's right for you, these are the things that are going to probably happen. You're going to get better. You're going to get faster. You're going to get stronger. You're going to get prettier. You're going to get more full of life. You're going to feel better about your things that you're working on. Things are going to get easier. You're going to have less stress. You're going to have less weight on your shoulder. He's going to be the partner that is good for business. Okay. Like I said in my last video that this topic came from, is it embarrassing to have a boyfriend? Like I said, shit. This is en route. When you're getting into a relationship or a life partnership with somebody, it's what. Oh man, there was a point I made and I forgot. Like I had it in my head and then I forgot. Uh Maybe it'll come back to me. But again, as I was saying, when you have a good guy in your life, you're gonna have good luck. Good things are going to start happening in your life. Okay. Now, transfer that to having a bad guy in your life. Things might start actually getting worse for you. Your health might start declining. You might start becoming more stressed out because if he has negative intentions for you. His only intention is to use you and to make you believe that he cares about you. But when a guy is not right for you, bad things will start happening to you. You'll get bad luck. Okay. And that's, maybe a spiritual thing, right? Is that, you'll start to get bad luck being around this person and things will coincide where just a negative vortex of things happening around somebody that is not for you, right? And so you have to make your own discernment when it comes to certain things and see what's what, right? Because you can feel all of these great feelings and the oxytocin and the pheromones and all of that, okay? But then you need to look at everything surrounding that. Like, is this relationship making you a better person or a worse person? Is this relationship feeding you and pouring into you in a way that makes it so that you can both elevate, or is it taking away from you and henceforth taking away from themselves? What is it? What is it? Right? Obviously, you know, Snyder marks, jokes that are not jokes, and things that are just negging in a way, essentially ways to say something that sounds supportive or nice or kind with the undertone of breaking your confidence, resilience, and resolve. And, you need to think about, what this relationship is doing to you physiologically, right? Mentally, emotionally. And if it's not benefiting your life, if it's not adding to your life, and that's the thing, it can be very confusing and difficult at times because people that are not good for us can be very charming, okay? And if we go down deeper into more spiritual aspect, okay, when we get involved with somebody that is not equally yoked with us, we block ourselves from being able to take on what is truly meant for us, divinely meant for us, right? And we lose our energy, we lose our sheen, our shine, and we become a shell of ourselves. When we get yoked with somebody that doesn't have the best intentions for us, or has standards beneath what we are meant to be here for. And we have to dictate what those standards are for ourselves before we allow anybody to come in and tell us what they think we deserve. And, it's learning that, we decide what we deserve. And if somebody thinks that we deserve what we think we deserve and some, well, then fuck. You might have found someone real good for you, you know? Because why come here to Earth, be born just to suffer? Why come here to sit next to someone that just wants to see you suffer? And it's not just about a financial thing, it's about the love, the energy again, the energy that is in this vortex of love that you're creating with whoever, right? What is the energy that is being created between the two of you, right? Another red flag to me would be somebody that prioritizes things that are not as important as the relationship, insinuating to you that he thinks that something more trivial than the relationship is more important, then that's a bad sign, because essentially what he's trying to say is that I value the relationship less than I value this thing that doesn't, that's not that it's not valuable, but that it's not as pressing as dealing with or taking. If he doesn't prioritize the relationship in a way that's meaningful, then you got yourself a lose. So that's a lose. That's a lose. You get out, you know? If he does not create solutions, a man that cannot lead or create solutions, that's a red flag. Stay away from that homie. Okay? He got some work to do. All right? Let's say some good things now. Some green flags. He considers the things that you say. He's actually paying attention to what you're saying. He's actually listening. Like he's actually comprehending the words coming out of your mouth. And I mean, that's a pretty low fucking bar. So if he's doing that, I guess you're on a good stroke, right? And so, okay, he's able to comprehend what you're saying. He's able to connect certain dots, and he's able to think deeply about things that mean something to you, right? And then he's able to bring that out into the world and show you, like, hey, I know that this means something to you, so I did this thing in regards to this thing that means something to you because I care about you and you mean something to me, right? So, you know, a man who goes out of his way to research some obscure bullshit that you like just because he cares about you, you know, that's that's love, right? Somebody that wants to be involved with you, who wants to start a life with you. And if they want to start a life with you, then they want to make life comfortable for you. So then if he starts making life comfortable for you, genuinely comfortable for you, that's a good sign. Because if he wants to make life comfortable for you, that means that he wants to have a peaceful, relaxing life where you guys can build something meaningful together. But if he wants to create drama and confusion, and I don't know, you're sitting here with the fact that, okay, we're supposedly boyfriend and girlfriend, but I don't feel like we're boyfriend and girlfriend. Like, I still don't feel secure in this relationship. I don't feel secure in what he just said, then you're probably not in the right situation, because the right guy is going to make you feel secure. He's not going to make you feel like you're investing in something that is wasting your time, your energy, and your beautiful female essence that brings love, life, and happiness into every home that you occupate. Okay. And so if you start looking at yourself like that, you'll understand that the right guy will amplify those things in you and make it even better. Okay. Make it even more, make it even just 10 times it, right? Okay. Because what a man pours into you, and what a lot of men don't understand, because a lot of men are just part-time Christians or not Christians at all, is that what you pour into a woman, you get back tenfold. You pour something into her. You are pouring into her. You're making a deposit, an investment into her. Okay. And that investment can be a funny little comment that was meant to degrade her confidence. And then you 10x the negative repercussion of that, because that women, what do? We bear fruit. We bear fruit into the world, and whatever a man deposits into a woman, she bears for him. So when you bear evil and destruction, well, then that is what you receive, but even more amplified. Okay. And so when you come into a man's life, let's say you go to his house, right? And it seems as though he's just within a transition all the time. Like, there isn't ever any space for him to just genuinely be with himself or be contemplative in any meaningful manner. Well, then you should be careful. And what this looks like is, if a guy is just holding on too tightly to things of the past, or it just seems like he ignores certain things when it comes to cleanliness or whatever the case, like if you get invited to a dude's place or whatever, and he's just apathetic about certain things and just unaware of certain obvious things, you should just run away very quickly. You should run away very quickly, because a guy like that will get you sick really bad, because they have no understanding of being safe serve certified. And what that means is that you understand cross contamination. And if you, as a man, do not understand cross contamination, stay the fuck away from me. But some guys are just gross, right? And, you need to understand that this guy has really bad hygiene understanding and whatever. You just need to stay the fuck away from him. Okay. Doesn't matter how pretty or whatever the hell this guy is. If he's dirty, stay away from him. All right? Because that means that if, like, just imagine, he cheats on you. The hygienic practices that he takes are probably zero to none. He doesn't give a fuck. He's a dirty dog. Okay. So that is a red flag. If he's unhygienic in general, just imagine if this guy cheats on you. He will be unhygienic when it comes to bringing home someone's fucking germs, okay? And that's disgusting. And that's how people catch shit. And so I don't want to go as far to say is that unhygienic people are cheaters, or they just, it's just that you wouldn't want to get cheated on by somebody that is unhygienic, right? Or doesn't think about certain things when it comes to hygiene and, you know, making it so that you get something. The man that's for you is going to make sure that you are protected, and you stay clean, and you stay, you know, healthy, right? The man that is good for you is going to protect your health. He's going to protect your well-being. He's going to be your covering, right? He's going to make sure that you are preserved as his woman because he cares about you. He loves you. You are an extension of him and what he considers family, and that is important to him. You are a priority in his life, and he thinks that protecting you is also, in a benefit to him. And, it's like, I know that sounds kind of callous and cold, okay, but it's not just like that, because there's obviously going to be love and a depth and a good emotional connection within the relationship, but it benefits this man to cover you and protect you, right? If a man is not covering you or protecting you, he's not for you, honey. He's not for you. And that's okay. That's okay, darling. Move on. Because there's plenty of fish in the sea, you know? And life's too short to be stuck to somebody that's unsure of you. If you're not goddamn sure, why are you wasting my goddamn time? You know? And so, I can respect somebody that, instead of wasting a woman's time, using her body, using her time, using her energy, can just cut her off and let her loose and tell her, hey, I don't want to waste anybody's time. I don't think this is a fit. Well, that's great. But most men are not like that. Most men are going to use you as long as they can and then, you know, move on to somebody else. So, what a good man is someone that has integrity, somebody you want to go to business with. There's not a lot of people you want to go in business with. There's not a lot of men that are mature enough and have enough integrity to be a real boss, to be in charge, to be at the top. And even when some men are at the top, they still get corrupt because power gets to their head. But most men never get to the top. Most men are never the boss. You know why? Because most men lack integrity. Most men lack the responsibility it takes to handle and be in control of other people's lives. And what it takes to be a man in a woman's life is somebody that is going to take responsibility for her, right? And if he's not able to take responsibility for her, then he should not be looking for her. He should not be dealing with her, okay? Because what is the point? Before, boyfriends wasn't a thing, okay? You'd court somebody, you'd get married, that was it, okay? Now people out here playing, saying I don't want, I don't want the cow before I try the milk, whatever the hell this. And it's just like, okay, we've allowed this manipulation to go on too far. At the end of the day, if you want to get into business with me, well, then I need a better commitment, and that's how it should be. That's how it should be. Because life is not about sex, you know. Yes, of course, everybody, wants an intimate partner. But at the end of the day, it's like, you know, when you're getting a business with somebody, what really matters, right? Do you have integrity? Can I trust you? Are you safe? Can you, are are you dependable? Do you have the emotional intelligence to see certain situations for what they are and handle them in the best way possible, right? Or the best way that you possibly can. If you see somebody that still responds like a child, Stay away from him. Because there's too many grown boys out here, you know? And, they'll sit out here and they'll say that, oh, women are trying to be abstinent and that's a joke. And it's like, no, it's not a joke. And the thing is, it's like they'll be like, oh, they don't want to, do it with a man of value, but it's like if we're gonna go talk about, being biblically correct, men of God aren't out here just dropping their seed on the floor all the time, okay? When that's a sin. And then, that's like I'm saying, half of these guys out here, they're not even real Christians, you know, eh, and they have a horrible moral compass. They don't care that they're ruining somebody's life. They are destroying lives for a momentary moment of pleasure. And it's disgusting and it's not something anybody would want to follow. So do with what you may with that information. I'm I'm drunk. But a good man creates security. A good man creates trust. A good man has the psychological and emotional capacity to understand what you're dealing with and be a proper partner. Okay. Men have so often seen women go out of their way to understand them and to love them and to do things that are meaningful and important for them, but hardly ever do you see a man go out of his way to show a woman what is meaningful to her, right? That I know you, I see you so good, I see you so hard that I want you to know that I know you and I feel you and I get you. And this is something that is meaningful to you, and I want to show you that I got you this thing that I know is meaningful to you and means something to you, right? If he doesn't do shit like that, then he doesn't really actually give a shit about you. You know? If it's a chore, it's like, then he doesn't give a shit about you. Why do you want to, even if the relationship is not that bad, why do you want to be with someone who looks at you like a chore? Ugh, it's a horrible feeling. Like, I'm nagging him all the time. It's like, shit, man, if you feel like you're a nag all the time, why would you want to be with someone that makes you feel like you're nagging all the time, who doesn't want to listen? A man that cares about you is going to take what you say and it means something because he's involved in the relationship. It's an actual partnership. He wants to be there. Not someone that's like, can you suck my dick first? Because I just can't understand what you're saying unless you suck my dick. you know? Like, I don't know, I should get off this. Look, I'm gonna probably expand on this, but this is En route, and I'm out.